but a long-term labor. It came to fruition this session, but this is something that we've been working on for years, and it just so happened that everything was able to come together this particular year. I know that I'm speaking on behalf of you, but also on behalf of myself, when we all thank our staffs for the hours of work that they put in. And we thank every single one of these members of the Texas House and Texas Senate, as well as their peers, for their work and support of this transformative legislation. Also, I want to thank a few other people who've played pivotal roles in making sure that we both advance education, but also advance this education bill. With us here today, we have the San Antonio ISD Superintendent Pedro Martinez. Where's Pedro?
Right back here, sir.
Oh, behind me. Yeah. And we have Longview ISD Superintendent James Wilcox. Behind me also. I was looking out front and say, where are they? And Fremont ISD Superintendent Steve Van Matry. Thank you all for being here. There you are right there. Thank you. You should be up here. Thank you all for being here. All of you all were at the State of the State speech, where we talked about advancing this law. And I know as I looked at you all on the floor that you were hopeful but uncertain whether or not this was really going to pass. And with your ongoing efforts and tireless work with us, we got it here. But one thing that really helped shape the early stages of this product was shaped by the School Finance Commission since the last special session. And people who were involved in that include the chair of that, Scott Brisker. Cannot thank you enough. I know there were ups and downs along the path, certainties and uncertainties along the way. And as a personal friend, but as a person who is well aware of your mental faculties and capabilities, I want you to know how much we appreciate your leadership and your join today, in addition to the ISD components of it, with Melissa Martin and Dr. Kevin Ellis. Hopefully we're getting everybody who was here. And of course we have with us two of our great education leaders. We have Donna Bohorich, SBOE chair, and Mike Morath. Where was he? Mike Morath with TEA. We literally couldn't be here today without the input of both of you, without your valuable contributions of helping shape this as well as other legislation. Listen, you cannot overstate the magnitude of the law that I'm about to sign, because this is a monumental moment in public education history in the state of Texas. As the superintendent was talking about moments ago, we did something that was considered to be highly improbable, and that is to be able to transform public education in the state of Texas without a court order forcing us to do so. This one law does more to advance education in Texas than any law that I have seen in my adult lifetime in the state of Texas. We stepped up and changed the way that we are providing the funding formulas to make sure that we are providing funding for students' needs rather than a student's zip code. We are increasing teacher pay across the entire state of Texas, but also making teaching a true profession by providing a pathway for some teachers to earn close to $100,000 a year. But importantly, we are advancing strategies to make sure that we are going to achieve our goal of what's called 60 by 30. 60 by 30 means that by the year 2030, 60% of young adults in the state of Texas will have a 2 or 4 year college degree or certificate. And the way that we work to achieve that is it begins at the earliest ages. It begins when a child first walks into pre-K. We're now more robustly funding pre-K than ever before in the history of the state of Texas, ensuring that every child is going to get off to a good education from the very beginning. We have funding strategies to ensure that it doesn't end at pre-K, but instead will continue through all the early grades so that by the time a student finishes third grade, that student will be able to read and do math at or above grade level by the time they finish the third grade. And then that lays the foundation to ensure that our students will be graduating from high school with far more than just a degree. They'll be graduating truly prepared for either college or career, ensuring that the state of Texas will have one of the most, if not the most, educated workforce in the United States of America. Now, very importantly, this law, which transforms education, also transforms property tax in the state of Texas. Taxpayers in the state of Texas have been burdened with an oppressive property tax system that takes too much money out of their pockets. This does a lot to reduce that burden. It adds $5 billion to reduce your property taxes in Texas. On average, what you will see is in the first year, about a 5% reduction in your school property taxes, and after the second year, about a 10% reduction in your school property taxes. And so this provides real relief for property taxpayers in Texas, as well as real advancements in advancing education for our students. We leave here today with this fact, and that is the next generation of students in Texas will be far better off, and the burden on taxpayers will be far lighter, thanks to the people who surround me today. So with that, I would like to pass it over to the Lieutenant Governor for his comments.
Sure. Thank you, Governor. Thank you for leading on this issue. You know, I know that every teacher who's here, every principal, every superintendent, you start the school year and you set the bar high for your school and for each student in your school. And that's what we did at this session. We had a press conference in front of the mansion, the three of us, and quite frankly, we set the bar very high for ourselves. And we said we were not going to fail. Here's the vision, here's where we're going. We didn't know exactly how the bills would end up. That's up to the legislators, both parties, both chambers, bringing their input, bringing the input from the education community, the business community. And where we ended, I think, was at a mark that if we had said this is where we're going to finish, we'd have said, boy, that's wow. That was a wow factor. On the property tax side, not only will you have the 5% and 10% cut, but moving forward, school taxes are going to grow much, much less than they have been. And that's not only good for your constituents and the parents, but it's good for your school teachers, your school personnel, because their taxes will not grow as fast in the future as well. I spent 8 years on education. I was chair of education in 2013 when we passed some pretty historic. Jimmy Don Aycock and was the chair in the House, and we passed some historic legislation focusing on career, reducing the STAR test from 15 to 5. But this is a new mountain. This is a new high. Mike Morath, who I think is the best commissioner of education in the country, without question, said, especially in the last weeks when we were negotiating all of this, the grand package, he said if we can accomplish this, we will catapult to the #1 education system in terms of how we finance schools, how we finance students, the new accountability measures, the new creativity, the extra month of school, the pre-K. We'll go to #1 in the country and lead the way that others will follow. And I think that that's what happened. No one person gets credit for it, but there are many people on this stage and some sitting out here that if some of them as individuals weren't involved, it wouldn't have happened. So it was total teamwork. No one cared who got the credit. Everyone was in. I particularly want to thank Larry Taylor and Dan Huberty in the House who grinded this out, all the people on the TEA staff, the conference committees from both sides that hammered it out, very important at the end, and the speaker. It wouldn't have happened without the leadership from the speaker. So I'm excited for Texans, for taxpayers, for parents, for students, for teachers, and even the retired teachers. You know, we've made their retirement actuarially sound for 54 years. They're going to get an average check of $2,000. And why that's important, because it sends a message to the current teachers who are going to retire one day. And they're going to receive a compensation package on average of $4,200. I think everyone's going to go into this new school year really excited. And I'm excited about it, to see 3, 4, 5 years from now when we look back on the success of these students. I have a group of superintendents that we meet with kind of quietly about every 6 weeks. Do we meet? 8 weeks? About 25 or 30 superintendents from around the state. And at the beginning of the session, I said, tell me what are the most important things that you want to see us accomplish. And we had discussions. I don't know if we can get there. I don't know if we can get there. We'll try. And at the end of the day, we pretty much checked off all the boxes. And 2 of the big things they talked about, 3 of the things. Number 1, we need pre-K to prepare our students to read in 3rd grade level. Number 2, for schools who want to do it, we need the resources to have an extra month of school in July for those students who are falling behind. And 3, just give us the flexibility in some of the funding regarding teachers, regarding funding of incentive programs, and so we've done that. And so I thank you and all the superintendents for helping shape this plan. With that, let me turn it over to my partner in the House.
Thank you. Thank you, Governor. I don't think it is set in for people like Dan Huberty and Larry Taylor and myself and our conferees and the members of the House and Senate the impact and the significance of House Bill 3. I think we're all just really pleased we got it done, but the meaningful impact that it should have on the kids of Texas is what is exciting. And it's what drove us. As the Lieutenant Governor said, we began in front of the Governor's mansion on that second day of session, the 3 of us. And we didn't know how, where, or what we were going to do, but we knew that great things wouldn't happen if we didn't work together. And what I am most proud of when you look at House Bill 3 is that the leaders of Texas prioritized the children of Texas and the teachers of Texas and the future of Texas by standing together and not allowing anyone to divide us. I would not be able to say enough kind things about Dan Huberty or Larry Taylor. Because when you pass legislation like House Bill 3, the senator and the House member who have their name on it and the responsibility of getting it through each body, the pressure and the stress and the questions and the concerns and the why this and why not that that comes at you is unbelievable. And these 2 gentlemen never cracked, never lost their cool, but most importantly, they never lost their focus. He didn't. He didn't. I'm telling you, he didn't. It depends on what cool level you're going at. It's all relative. I mean, I like the temperature at night about 68. Others are 74 is fine. So, yeah. But they got there. And let me tell you, there were a whole lot more spots on this road where they could have stopped and not gotten there. But never once did they consider that an option. Our conferees in the House and Senate, both bodies, were exceptional. In my years in the legislature, I've never seen an actual conference committee work to the level and the extent that each and every member of the House and Senate worked together on this conference committee. But I'm just proud to be here because I love showing Texans that when your governor and your lieutenant governor and your speaker say we're going to be a team, we do great things, and we prioritize education. And I want to be very clear. You know who the credit goes to? The people of Texas, who encouraged us to not fail them in creating a first-class education system. And so I want to thank them for keeping us together. And I want to close by, again, because I never will be able to help people understand the credit and the tenacity and the courage and the strength and the effort that Chairman Taylor and Chairman Huberty put into this effort.
Well, thank you, Speaker Bond, and what a great day for education in Texas. And when I say education, the students of Texas. Chairman Huberty and I went to bed every night and woke up every morning thinking about 5.4 million students and the millions of students to come, and the educational attainment that they need to succeed in this 21st century, and what our state needs them to do to succeed as a state. And I got to take you way back to the very beginning. This School Finance Commission, I'm looking at the members here, it was a very diverse group of people, 12 people from across the state of Texas. We have a superintendent, Dr. Killian, Nicole Connolly-Johnson, CFO of Austin ISD, former Chief Justice Brister, former Justice Brister, Melissa Martin, a teacher, Kevin Ellis, State Board of Education member, a number of other folks from the business community and others who couldn't be here today, but that group came together, put aside their own personal differences, and worked together for the benefit of all Texas kids. And that built the foundation of what we're standing on here today. This bill would not have happened without the year's worth of work from that School Finance Commission. I cannot thank you enough. If we'd had a one-sided group put together a plan and bring it to the legislature, it would have been just like every other education effort we've had. But this was a diverse group, and we had like 40 recommendations that were agreed on unanimously by this group. And that's what it takes for Texas and, frankly, this country to succeed, is people putting aside their differences and coming together for what's good for the greater good of all the people. And I am so excited about what we're doing today and what we've done. But I'm so excited to see it going into place and going to work. And I just think we need to all stick with that commitment to make sure we do everything we can to make sure that education in Texas not only does well, but leads, just like our state does. We are not used to being in the bottom quartile of anything, and we should not be there in education, and we will not be there any longer. What we're doing and what you're doing in these education classrooms across the state of Texas, we're going to make a huge difference. 60 by 30 will soon be updated as something else at a much higher number than 60%. And I'm just so excited to have been blessed enough to be a part of this. And at the end of the day, I got to tell you, this stuff didn't just happen by chance. You can't have all this stuff come together without a greater hand at work in this. And I do give God credit for what all's happened, because this is an unbelievable thing that's happened, and to him goes the credit. Thank you very much.
This is surreal when you think about it, but Governor Abbott, Governor Patrick, Speaker Bonin, thank you, obviously, for the opportunity to work with you through this process. And Governor Patrick, I've said this, you and I have had our differences over the years, but you were right. One of the things that you drove the issue of talking about teachers and their pay and keeping people in the classroom and the older teachers. And I think about my little cousin, Audie, who's a 7th-year teacher now, who's going to get a nice increase, and she wants to stay in the classroom. Driving that narrative was very important for all of us, and I couldn't have asked for a better partner other than Senator Taylor and the work that we've done together and spent a lot of time together. And then certainly I want to think about Ken King and Diego Bernal and Senator West and Senator Betancourt that spent all that time that we spent on that Finance Commission not thinking we were going to get there, and we weren't sure what it was going to look like. And I think I was the biggest obstacle, obviously, at the end of the last session, where I said, why do we have to do this? At the end, Governor, you were right. It was the right thing to do, and it was the right thing to do to be able to figure out how to fix the system, not just putting a Band-Aid on it. I'd be remiss not to thank all our staff, Andrea Sheridan, Amy Peterson, Casey Chrisman, Jack Reed, and then the hard work that nobody knows how hard that Leo Lopez and Von Bayer worked, and the work that they did. It was amazing to sit in the room, and as Senator Taylor knows, we came up with a lot of harebrained ideas of figuring out how we were going to make this thing work. And they were able to put a spreadsheet together to do that. And the work that you guys did was amazing. You should be proud of all the work you did.
We have one more run we want you to make. Marion Wallace is working on this.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I'm blessed to have my wife Janet and my son Dylan here today. But I've spent the last 20 years of my life dealing with education, whether it was teacher, a school board member, or serving on the Public Education Committee for the last 5 sessions. And I've been blessed to have a lot of good friends like Dr. Allen that's standing here with us today that always reminds us to think about the kids. Right, Dr. Allen? Right. You always do that. And you start talking to Senator Nelson, who reminds us about the teachers, and Donna Campbell and Senator Watson, and all the people that are behind us here and the work that they've done. It's been amazing. I'm blessed to be able to be a part of this. All of us are, and I just can't thank everybody enough for the hard work that we've done, and looking forward to making sure that Commissioner Morath implements this correctly. Because if his kid screws up, it's your fault. So, thank you, Governor.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to turn this bill into law.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
HB 3 is now law in Texas.
Thank you.
This is big. We'll be stepping down, and you'll have a chance to ask questions of a lot of these different folks. If you would, in your questions, please remember all of these House and Senate members who labored so hard, who have great messages to send back to their districts. Without them, we wouldn't be here today. Thank you all very much.
Lemon drops all the way around.
Lemon drop time.
Yes.